I have another beautiful tutorial for you today, Sumate, and you're highly welcome back to my channel. So on today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful, unique bubu dress with ribbon design. Okay, so this bubu dress has pockets and it has slit at the front, as you can see, and it has a beautiful ribbon design. So if this is what you love to learn, I encourage you to stay tuned to the end of this tutorial to see how I made this. So the tutorial is very detailed, from the drafting, cutting, stitching and everything. So this is the fabric I'm working with, and I have 2.5 yards of crepe fabric. Yes, this is a crepe fabric and it has a very nice quality. It's a quality crepe fabric. So that is what I'm going to be making use of, and it's 2.5 years, actually 2.20 something inches, though not up to 3 yards. Okay, so that is what I am working with, and I went on to measure it, and after that I am going to check which part is the right part, the side that is the right side, and I am going to get it folded into four, the usual way we normally fold our fabric when we are making our bubu dress. That is how I went on to fold it, which is into four. You can see it's in four places because we are going to be cutting both the front and the back together, and I am measuring to get the length I am working with. Okay, so I am going to get the length I'm working with, and I'm just going to make use of the whole length, which is 60 inches, so that when I fold with 1 inch I'll be left with 59 inches, which is very okay. So the first thing I did was to place my tape on this part that will be serving as my shoulder line, and I went on to roll my waistline. Okay, so I placed my tape on the shoulder and rolled the waistline. So here now is the shoulder line, then here is my waistline. Then I am going to measure again and mark my hip line. Okay, so these are the three lines we are working with: the shoulder line, the waistline and the hip line. And I went on to rule it. So this check is a yellow color chalk, and I don't know why it's not really showing very well, but don't worry, I promise you you're going to see it better as we proceed, and I am going to ensure that I explain everything in a way you understand. So the first thing I did was to measure my shoulder to shoulder divided by 2, which is 8 inches, and that's what I marked. So another thing I did is that from that 8 inches I marked 14 inches. Okay, so you're going to measure what your sleeve is, and whatever your sleeve is, you're going to mark it after, that is your sleeve length, after measuring your shoulder divided by 2. And I went on to slope my shoulder by 1.5 inches, 1 inch, sorry, 1 inch. Okay, then my neck width is 3 inches. Okay, then I am going to connect to shoulder slope. So I proceed to place my ruler like this, and I went on to connect. Okay, so ordinarily I was supposed to make it 1.5 inches, but we're still going to join. So by the time we join, we'll arrive at 1.5 inches. That is for the shoulder slope. Then placing my tape here, I'm marking my round sleeve. Okay, that is my bicep divided by 2. So note that this, my bicep divided by 2 is 8.5 inches. Okay, is normally is 7 inches, and added extra 1.5 inches because I want it to be very free, and I still added extra 2 inches allowance. Okay, so make it very free, because it's a boo, so the sleeve is supposed to be very free as well. Now on the waistline, I divided my hip circumference by 4. Okay, my hip circumference by 4, that's why I divided, and I went on to rule it on the waistline and added 3 inches to it. Then below the waistline, I went on to roll my hip circumference divided by 4, and I added 2.5 inches to it. Okay, 2.5 inches. Then on the actual hip line, I went on to mark my hip circumference divided by 4, and I'm adding up to 5 inches to it. Yes, I'm adding up to 5 inches to it, and you can add 5 or 4.5 depending on how free you want it to be. But in my case here, I use 5 inches Do you understand? So that is what I did, and I am ruling that same 5 inches straight to the hem. That is exactly what I have on the hip line, is what I went on to measure to mark from that hip line down to the hem. Do you understand? So that is what I did, and I went on to rule into a straight line like this. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is to connect the rest of the line, connecting the hip line to the waistline, then take it up to the where the sleeve ended, and this is this point, and I'm going to make it curvy here. That is where the sleeve ended, where I have the sleeve and the other borders. Okay, so I went on to curve it out there, and the next thing I'm going to do here is to come in here on this down part, the end of the sleeve, by half of an inch. Okay, half of an inch towards the end of the sleeve. That's what I did, and I'm connecting it to the upper part. The reason for this is that the sleeve down here doesn't become too pointed and looking awful, so we're eliminating some excesses around there. So remember, I'm doing this at the down part of the end of the sleeve. Okay, so I am trying to adjust the camera so that you can see this point better, because the chalk is not really showing very well, but I trust you understand what I'm doing. So now back to the neckline. I am using just 2 inches for the neck depth for the back. Okay, and that is what I went on to mark, and I'm just going to use my free hand to connect it like this. All right, so now I am going to also mark the neck depth for the front. So the neck depth for the front, I want it to be as deep as possible, but not too deep. So I am working with 7 inches. Now after sewing, I will have around 7.5 inches, which is very, very okay. It's not too deep, not too revealing, and is not also shallow, because remember, we don't have zipper. We won't be attaching any zipper or any button to the dress, so you should make the neckline as big as possible so that the head can be able to pass through it, and that is why this 7 inches is perfect for me. Right, so I went on to connect it, and this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead to cut out, ensuring that I cut out the neck depth for the back first. Okay, so I went on to cutting the neck depth for the back first. Right, so pay attention to the way I'm cutting it. You get the real shape of what I've just drafted, since the chalk is not really as bright as I wanted it to be. Okay, so this is what I have. Can you see it? So it's just it looked like the normal bubu we used to cut, right? So what I'm going to do now is to remove one of the fabric, um precisely the one inside. Then I am going to work on the one outside, which is going to be serving as my front part. Okay, so I am going to fold it back just the way it was initially folded, and I am going to cut out the neckline and neck depth for the front. Do you understand? So that is what I'm doing here. I am trying to arrange it properly so that I can now remove the neck depth for the front. So I went on to cut out the neck depth for the front, as you can see here, and this is what I have. Okay, so if you notice, you see that the down part looked as if it's a kind of pencil, like some few inches was removed from the back part, from the down part, that is the side, right? So what I'm going to do now is, measuring from my hip down, I am going to mark where I want my slit to stop, the front slit, right? Or alternatively, I'm measuring to get my knee line. Okay, so precisely I'm going to make it to stop around the knee line, or maybe like 1 or 1.5 inches below the knee line. Okay, so what I did is I mark on my knee line, and I am making use of that. Okay, so then on the side here, I'm just going to remove like half of an inch, or 0.75 so that it looked a bit penciled because of the slit at the front. So I decided to remove 0.75 on the side, and this is totally optional. If you don't want this, you can leave it like that, and trust me, it's still going to give a good result. Okay, so I went on to just trim off a little on the side here, and I'll repeat that same thing on the back part. I'm just going to trim off that little again. Then I am slitting to get that front slit. Okay, the front slit around the knee below. Okay, so that's what I went on to do now. So I am going to get the back part, place it on the table as well, and I am going to cut out, trim off the side as well, so that it rhymes and fits with the front side. Do you understand? So I'm just going to place the front part on it, and I'm going to trim off that side as well, so that they both have the same shape on by the side, on the side. Okay, so that is what you see me doing here, and after that we are going to go over to the next step. So if you're coming across my channel for the first time, my name is Mercy, and this is Mercy Posh Stitches. On this channel I teach everything that has to do with fashion, with sewing. That is what I do here. I teach people how to cut, how to sew, how to neatly finish outfits. My styles are very trendy, they are unique styles, they are, you know, new fashion trends, and they are very detailed and easy to understand. In fact, they are very beginner friendly, because I always try my best to explain everything that I'm doing. Okay, so you're highly welcome if you're here for the first time, and I encourage you to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe, so that whenever I drop tutorials you get notified, because trust me, this is one of the best places you should be, especially if you're a fashion lover like me. So what I did now, after cutting, trimming the side to become the same thing, I went on to fold the strap into two, and it's about 2 inches as it is folded, right? So when you open it up, you have about 4 inches, and I went on to slit it open on the center, so that I'll be able to use it to turn the front slit. Do you understand? Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut out the lining piece for both the front neckline and the back neckline. Okay, so that is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to fold those folded a small piece of fabric into two, place the neckline on it, and I'm just going to cut out the shape of the neckline I have on my main fabric, and I'm going to be measuring 3 inches round, because that's the wideness of the lining I want to use for the neckline, and that is what you see me do here. Then I'm going to repeat the same process on the back neckline. I'll fold this piece of fabric into two, place the neckline for the back on it, cut it out, and I will also measure 3 inches wide for the neckline for the back, and I'll cut out as well. So that is what I went on to do, and the next thing we are going to do now is to go over to the machine to start stitching them down. So here I am on my machine, and we are going to start stitching it down. So what I'm going to do now is to pick up the main fabric, okay, the front part of the main fabric, and I am going to place it with the back part of the main fabric, right side facing right side. All right, I am placing it right side facing right side, and I am going to be stitching down the shoulder line. I'll be joining the two shoulders. Do you understand? So that is what I am doing here. Ensure that you place it right side touching right side, or right side facing right side, however you understand the English. Okay, so that is what I am doing here, and I'm going to join the shoulders using 1/2 inch. So I was done joining the shoulder, and I'm repeating the same process on the lining piece. I'll place it right side facing right side, and I'm going to be joining the shoulders of the lining piece as well. So I went on to join the shoulders of the lining piece, and this is what I have. So I am going to match up the shoulder of the lining piece with that of the main fabric, and match up the center front as well, and secure with my pins round. And I am placing it right side facing right side. Do you understand? And I'm just going to make sure that I pin all around, matching them up accordingly. Okay, that is what you see me doing here. So after which I am going to turn the neckline with the lining piece. Do you understand? So that is what I am going to do right now. So I'm going to turn the neckline with the lining piece, and after that I'm going to hem the neckline. It's just going to be a one-time fold on the hem of the lining piece, the neckline for the lining piece, right? Okay, that is the hemline of the lining piece. That's what I meant, the hemline. So see it here, see it here. I went on to fold it, just a one-time fold, and stitched. Then over to the front slit. Now I am going to place the strap that I cut as lining piece right side facing right side, and I'm going to match it up as well and secure with my pin. Okay, so that is what you see me doing here. I'm going to match it up and pin down accordingly, and we are going to turn the slit as well. So after turning the slit, I am going to also make a one-time fold on the hem of the lining piece for the slit. Do you understand? I'm going to make a one-time fold, and I am also top stitching. So that is very important, so that it will relax. And don't forget, I did this same top stitching on the neckline. That is on the side of the lining piece. You're top stitching on top of the lining piece. Okay, so please do that as well when making yours. So I went on to top stitch and make a one-time fold on the hem, like I said, that is on the side of the lining piece for the slit, and this is what I have. So I'm going to pin down, and this is what I have. So I'm not going to run a stitch to it. I'm going to use my hemming gum, the strong one, that one that is permanent. I'm going to use it to hold it down. All right, so now for my sleeve, I am going to hem my sleeve. I'm just going to use 1 inch to hem it. Okay, so I went on to hem the sleeve, and this is what I have. Okay, so I did that on both sleeve. Now what I'm going to do is placing my tape on the shoulder. I'm going to mark 1 inch below my waistline. That is my waist, that is my half length. My half length is 16 inches, and I marked on 17 inches. That is from the shoulder to 17 inches. That's what I marked, because that is where I'm going to fix my pocket, right? So if your half length is 15 inches, you're going to mark 1 inch below 15 inches. That is 16 inches, right? And from that 17 inches that I mark, I measure extra 7 inches, which is where my hand is going to pass into. Okay, where I'm going to fix my pocket. Then I'm going to join the side. So when I reach to that 17 inches, that is when my pocket is starting, I'm going to back stitch very well and leave the 7 inches open to go over to the other side and continue stitching. So basically I'm leaving the space where I'm going to fix in my pocket open. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm explaining this thing in case of our beginners. Okay, so here is it where I left open. All right, I left here open where we attach our pocket. So I have this fabric here, and that's what I'm going to be using to cut my pocket. So I'm going to fold this fabric now into 4. So I folded into 2 and further refolded again. Okay, so I'll fold and refold again like this. Okay, so the wideness should be nothing less than 8 to 9 inches, right? Then the length I have about 12 to 13 inches. So I went on to come in here by 2 inches and connect this way. I believe I didn't pay much attention explaining this pocket because I believe all of us already know how to cut pockets. Okay, so because so many of my tutorial I already taught how to cut pocket a lot. I have it in almost all my boo dresses, A-line dresses and all of that. So that's why I did not place much emphasis on explaining this pocket. As you can see, is you can just even draw this shape and cut it out. Just ensure that where your hand will pass through this part now should be more than 7 inches, should be like 9 inches because of allowance for turning, right? So what I'm going to do now is to place them wrong side facing wrong side, and I'm going to be stitching on the right side, right? So that is what I'm going to do, and I'll stitch notch, turn it inside out and top stitch. Then I'm going to start from 0.5 inches away from the line. Okay, 0.5 inches away. Okay, so that is where I am stitching from so that I can have allowance for joining it to the main fabric. So you can see I'm starting and stopping just 5 inches before the line. Okay, so I went on to sew, to notch, turn it inside out and top stitch. Okay, after which it will be time for us to attach it to our main fabric. Okay, so don't forget that, sorry for that interruption. So I was saying, don't forget to ask question if you have any. Just drop your question in case you're confused or you have something to ask relating to the style or other styles on my channel already. You can ask questions. Do you understand? So now it's time for me to join it to the main bodies, and I'm going to open it up like this, matching them right side facing right side. Do you understand? Matching them up like this side to this side and this one to this one. Okay, that is how I'm placing it. Can you see? And I'm just going to sew it. Okay, so you're going to ensure that it goes up like 1.5 inch away from the actual line where you joined it, and the same thing on the down part. So I'll go ahead and join, and after joining I'll repeat the same process on the other side, and I'm going to show you what we have. So I went on to join other side, and this is what I have. Can you see it? So another thing I'm going to do now is to give it a very good press, and we're going to work on our ribbon for designing. Okay, so here I am with my ribbon. I got a black colored ribbon from the fabric shop, and I went on to measure 11.5 inches. That's what I measured, 11.5 inches, and that is the length of the ribbon I'm going to be cutting out. So I'm going to be cutting out 11.5 inches, and I'm going to cut as much as I will be using, and I'm going to show you how we're going to fold it to get that bow tie like look. Okay, so On the lining for the neckline of my main fabric, I went on to use my hemming gum to hem it down. I did the same thing for the lining for the front slit, and I gave it a very good press. So do that as well before you attach your ribbon. So this is how I'm folding my ribbon. I'll fold in the first one like this, and I'll fold the second one on top of it like this. It's not hard at all. It's not hard. It's just very simple, like very simple. Just fold it, play around it, and you get the perfect look of what I'm trying to explain here. Okay, just play around it. Trust me, it's not hard. Something even a small child can do. And I'm going to use my hand needle to secure it. I'm just going to use my hand needle to sew it together. Do you understand? So I'm going to do this, and I'll get as much as I want. Do you see how it looks? I'll get as much as I want. And here now I'm going to use my matchstick or candle, whichever one you have, to remove any frilling. Just seal them out so that it doesn't frill. That is what I'm going to do after making the designs and getting as much as I want. I'll do that sealing of the frilling area, and it will be time for me to fix it to our dress. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that as well. All right, so I went on to get them as much as I want, and here I am fixing it to my dress with my free hand. Okay, so I'm just using my free hand to be fixing it. Like I'm using my needle and threads. Sorry, needle and thread, not free hand. I don't know which one is free hand. So I'm using my hand needle and thread to be fixing it, and at the end of fixing it, you're going to see what we have. Okay, so I went on to fix and fix, and remember, you mark the point we are going to fix, because that's what I actually did. I went on to mark the points where I'm going to fix, so that when you finish fixing them, the spacing will look even. Okay, the spacing will be the same, not that one will be very close to the other one and the other one will be very far. So ensure to use your tape, mark the side, mark all the intervals with which you want them to appear. Okay, and you're going to use your hand needle to tack it down. So that's exactly what I am doing here. And once I'm done, I am going to show you the final look of the dress. So I have a lot of tutorials on my channel. You can go visit my channel and see a lot of tutorials. Trust me, you will love them, because they are trendy styles, ladies outfits, and baby girl ball dresses, pant trousers, different types of style. So go check it out. Don't forget to like, share, and support the channel by your comments. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you some other time when I drop another beautiful tutorial like this. And until then, do take care of yourself, stay safe, stay blessed, and bye.